Hello, hello. It is Jackie from Pocket of Preschool. And tonight we are going, or today, depending on when you are watching, we are going to do all kinds of ideas for fall fine motor journal activities. So I'm going to share a ton of fall fine motor journal activities. We can do apples, pumpkins, general fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving, nocturnal animals, all of those themes I'm sharing tonight in this video. So hold on one second, and I'm gonna move all this out of the way, and we are gonna get started. So what are fine motor journal activities? So fine motor journal activities is basically a place where you can do all of your fine motor journal or fine motor activities kind of in one place. It's like a little mini portfolio or notebook with all of the fine motor activities. That way there's not tons of random pieces of paper all the places. It keeps you a little bit organized, and it's awesome. All the ideas I'm sharing tonight are in the fine motor journal unit, and then some are not in here. So you get a little bit of both. But in your fine motor journal unit, and I put all the links, all the places, it goes by theme and it goes by letter. So like this is the apple theme, so there's 6. So if you need more ideas, you can look in the fine motor journal unit or guide, whatever you call it. You can bind it on a ring. If you're a binder person, you can put it in a binder. Do whatever works for you. So, and I put the links to all those places. And if you don't, or you haven't started fine motor journals yet, I do have a link wherever the links are. And there's a link to a video on how to start fine motor journals in your classroom, like what to do the first week. And there's also a blog post too to kind of help you out with that. So we are going to jump right into all of the ideas. So I have my journal. So if you do fine motor journals, the teacher is supposed to have a fine motor journal as well. I have a ribbon that I taped in the back so that way it's easy to open. I have my name tag in my pocket. I have it sticking out a little bit so that way if I need it or I need to model using my name tag, I have that as well. So again, you do it and the students do it so that way you can model, you have a place to model, and then the students can use yours also as a visual support too as you're walking around helping once the fine motor journals get started. So here's a couple the new ones I'm gonna share, I'll put in my journal, but here are some fine motor journal fall ideas. I'm gonna move this out of the way for just 1 second. So any kind of like any like fine motor activity you do in the art center that maybe you want all your students to do, you can also do that in your fine motor journal. So like, let's say you have leaf rubbings out in art, or maybe you have like art planned and you're like, oh, I really want to do leaf rubbings, but I don't have it out as a center activity. You can do that in your fine motor journals. So you can open, I think it's in here, hold on. Yep, so you can put out the leaves and have the students put the leaves in. You can model how to roll or use the crayon. Let me see. We're gonna pretend there's no paper on this and rub. And then you can do your leaf rubbings in your fine motor journal. So that's one really fun idea. I know sometimes too, activities for the art center that maybe don't look really engaging, like out on the table, and it's really great fine motor. Those are really great to do in fine motor journals, especially too if you don't have time to do all of the fun art things that you want to do and have planned. You can sneak art into your fine motor journals. Another thing you can do for fall is, got my little post-it notes to show you. So you can practice the down curve line. So what you do is in fine motor journals, you do it and then the students will do it. So I love using stickers to kind of get started. And sometimes just putting a sticker on there is just makes it a little bit more fun. I know we all have little leaf stickers. I have literally right here. I keep my stickers. Normally I keep this is all my fall stickers, and then I keep these in my fall unit pack. So that way I don't have to like go through all the stickers and find them. Like these are all my fall ones. So I get that out and then I can just put one at the top, and then I'm gonna go, oh, you know, in the fall, our leaves fall down, and we use markers for fine motor journals. So that way everybody can have a bright, beautiful journal, no matter the amount of pressure they use on their page. And I'll say, okay, watch me first. I'm gonna go big curve, 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 down. I'm gonna go back to the top of my journal and I'm gonna start again. Big curve, big curve. And you can use whatever private speech, which is what we say in our brains. You say that out loud because we want our students to know how to make the line, because we want these motions to be kind of like we want to build that muscle memory up. So that way when they go to make an S, they have that motor path down. So they don't have to think about that when they're in kindergarten and go, okay, I need to make an S, big curve, big curve. We want that to be kind of automatic for them when they're later grades. So these fine motor journals are great to kind of get those motor paths kind of stuck in their brain. And then, so you do it and you model it and then the students will do it and then they'll do it and then say, oh my gosh, do these leaves falling look like any kind of letter? And they're gonna go, yeah, it looks like an S. Or they may say, it looks like a C, and it looks like both. And you're gonna pick based on what you notice in your students' writing. You're gonna pick what letter to work on that your students are struggling with. So if you have young 3s, maybe they might be struggling with that basic C. So you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna make C's on the other side, and I'm gonna go first, and then you guys do it. Ready? Watch me. I'm gonna start at the top, and I'm gonna go curve, 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 stop. I'm gonna go back to the top, curve, 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 stop. I'm gonna go back to the top, curve, 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 stop. Okay, you guys try. And then they try and they make their C's, and then you go around, you can help, you can do hand over hand if students like that. Some students really like it when you make you put their hand over you put your hand over their hand and you make it together. Some students do not like that. And you can say, okay, do you want me to trace it for you? And then you can trace some. That yellow doesn't work. So you can grab another color and you can make some in their journal and then they can trace it over the top. It doesn't always have to be yellow. You can do any light color. They love pink, make it in pink, and then they can trace it in pink. If they're using orange, you can also make it in orange and then they can trace it back. Totally up to you. Or again, if your marker runs out that you pick, you can get a different color. But you can give the support based on what that student likes and what works for them. So you can do leaves falling. Now, let's say they have that motor path. Maybe you want to work on, you're gonna say, oh, you know what, apple. Sometimes the leaves, they kind of blow across the ground because maybe you've noticed that your students need to work on this motor path. So make this the lesson. You know your students, use their writing, use their how they're writing their name. If you're doing daily sign-ins, notice what letters students are struggling with, and then you can make the motor paths that they need more help with. And again, I just grabbed fall stickers. You can also Google image, save that image, and then print out a whole bunch, and then you can glue it in their journals too. So you can do leaves for a motor path. You can also do pumpkins. Again, you can put one on there. And then I'll say, oh my gosh. And I love to use either a fake or a real pumpkin so we can talk about shapes. So you can say, oh my gosh, we are gonna make a pumpkin patch. What shape is this pumpkin? Oh, it's kind of an oval. So we're gonna make little ovals, around, around, stop, around, around, stop, around, around, stop. And then they make them. And then you can say, oh my gosh, do you know pumpkins have vines? There's so many vines in the pumpkin patch. We're gonna make vines. It's gonna kind of be curves all over the place. So curve, 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 and then they do it. And then based on what letter your students need to make, you can make that letter over there. You can do C's, you can do S's, you can do O's, because that's kind of like a pumpkin. So it would end up looking like this. You can also do in your fine motor journals acorns. So you can draw a giant circle and say, oh my gosh. And again, you would want to have either a real or a fake acorn. You can also use your books, like your nonfiction books, and show students a picture of an acorn because they may not have seen one or they may not remember what one looks like. And that way, when you're talking about all the different, like what it looks like, noticing the lines, you can point that out on the real object as well. So you can say, okay, we're gonna draw a big oval and look at the top of the acorn. It has long lines, and then it has, oh my gosh, there's lines going down too. Start at the top and go down, 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 stop, down, 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 stop. Okay, and then they do it. And then again, pick the letter that you think your students need to work on. This is great for T's, letter uppercase I. A lot of different letters have a whole bunch of straight lines in them. E's. And one thing I love about fine motor journals is that you can really talk about the different parts of a letter and like the struggles that you notice your students are making them. And I also want to add, fine motor journals have nothing to do with letter sounds. Nothing. Like acorn has nothing to do with the letter T. Nothing. So we want to make sure that we're not saying that, you know, T is for acorn. No, like we're just noticing that these shapes on the acorn look like the letter T. So, and one thing I love about fine motor journals, like let's say you want to make a T, and it's great because we can model that T. You can go, I'm going to go down, 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 stop, and I'm going to go across and stop. And maybe you want to model the E and say, I'm going to go make a line down, stop, and I'm going to touch the line, over, 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 stop. Touch the line, over, 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 stop. Touch the line, over, 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 stop. Because how many of your students, how many of them make E's like this, right? They make E's and all of them cross, or they make a T and it's always that lowercase t. So you can really talk about like letter placement and line placement and where to start your line and where to stop the line, because students need direct practice and direct instruction on how to form letters, just like they do on the letter sounds. So those are some things you can do during fine motor journals. And I know some teachers do fine motor journals doing small group. Some do them whole group. So like, and maybe you, if you do them whole group, it's okay not to have, you can have your journal up and you can like put a magnets on the back or use a big clip and put it on your whiteboard, and that works too. And all of your students can draw or cut. And if you're doing that down on the carpet, I used to do it with 18 kids on the carpet. We didn't call it fine motor journals at that time, but that's when I did all of this that I show you guys with 18 kids, and it was just me because my other teacher in the room at that time was washing tables and getting ready for lunch. So it was just me with 18 kids, and I would literally I had buckets of markers, and you'll see in my photos in my classroom, I have buckets of markers under my easel. I have buckets of scissors and buckets of glue. And then I would have an extra bucket, and those would be our trash buckets. And I would literally just place these around, and students knew that when the buckets came out, it was their turn to work. And they worked all the time in circle. And I know some teachers are worried about the hunching over. It's okay. That was the only time that we could fit it in my class, and that was when we were cleaning the table. So you got to make it work for your classroom and how it works best for you. Now, you want to sneak in cutting. So for fine motor journals, I always have baskets of different shapes. So for this one, I had the ovals out, and they would cut out their ovals. And I had my buckets of scissors. I also have the bounce back scissors. So students can use the regular scissors. I just put tape on there, so it's taped to the top, and they can cut, or they can use the bounce back scissors, or they can start with these when their hand gets tired. Instead of them having a behavior or being frustrated with the activity, say, oh, you know what? I can see your hand is tired, no big deal. My hand gets tired too when I'm cutting lamination, which it really does. Yeah, I wish they had, sometimes, I probably need these when I'm cutting like a ton of lamination, but they can use these, and it bounces back open, so it kind of helps them out so they can continue doing the activity with success, even though it's getting harder because they don't have that strength to cut forever and ever and ever yet. So put out your bucket of ovals and say, pick out fall colors, and then have your marker buckets out. They can cut the leaf. Cut the leaf, and then they can add the veins. And if you have time, you can also connect it to a letter and say how this K has a long line, which it does in the middle, and then it has 2 diagonal lines, and it starts in the middle, just like these leaves do. Okay, now, maybe you just want to do cutting. Just do this part. You don't have to correlate it to a letter all the time, but you can if you want. Now, let's say you don't want to do leaves. No worries. You could also put out the circles, and students could do what? Apples. They could cut out the apple color circles, and then put a little stem with a little leaf. You could say, oh, we're gonna do pumpkins. They could cut out pumpkins. These are ones that are not ready to be picked yet, the green pumpkins and the orange pumpkins. This is why I have lots of buckets of circles. You could also do circles, and then they could make them into jack-o'-lanterns. You could cut out black. Where's that? I don't have any black circles, but you could do, I have gray. Hold on. I have them. You could do gray circles because it's like a cauldron for your witch. And so they could do the gray circle and then they could cut it out. And so you know what? These witch cauldrons, it's kind of flat at the top, say, so cut the top flat. And then they could draw green bubbles coming out. How much fun would that be? So I'll do one in this journal as an example, so you know what I'm talking about. So they cut out the cauldron and then they glued it in with their glue stick, and then they can make the potion coming out of it. So they could draw a whole bunch of circles, or they can just scribble. That works too. And then they can have their potions coming out of the witch's cauldron. How much fun is that? Students would have so much more fun cutting cauldrons or leaves, whatever you want to do. That is much more fun than saying, here is a page of circles. We're going to cut those out. That doesn't sound engaging or fun. This is engaging and fun. And we need it to be engaging and fun because we got to get those kids, we got to get their scissors in their hands, and we got to make cutting fun and exciting. And like I said, leaf rubbings as well. Any collage that you do, you can always do them in your fine motor journals. So have them draw a leaf, or you can draw a leaf. I also have a bucket of paper strips, and then say grab the color of the leaf you want to do, and then they just snip, and then they can glue it on. They can make it as little or as big as they want. And again, you can draw the leaf, or they can draw it. Totally up to you. So sorry. My phone's dying. Should have charged it before I started, but it's fine. We'll have time to finish. So you can always sneak in writing by saying, I'm going to put these words on the table, and when you are done or when you need a break from cutting, I want you to write the word on your journal. So again, we're cutting, sneaking in some writing. You can do it in uppercase or lowercase, whatever level your students are at. You can also, oh, this is winter, but you could also, this is actually a pine cone, which is in the winter section, but you could also do pine cones for fall. Grab a real pine cone and notice all the bumps on it. And you could do letters after that. You could do an N. You could also have them draw the bumps upside down, and you could practice U's. Again, look at your students' writing, see what they're struggling with, and then have them make that in their journals. And then they can practice those types of lines in a really fun way. Let's keep going with how, oh, and then don't forget, you can always do still life drawings in your journal. So remember I said all those art activities that you maybe don't have time to do that you really want to do? Put out some pumpkins, and they can draw the pumpkins in their journals. Maybe you have some really fun gourds in your science center. Maybe you don't have enough to have them in the science center and the art center, which I understand the struggle to have everything for all the centers. So have these in the science center, but during your journal time, grab these and they can draw them in their journal. Talk about what shape. This one is round and it has stripes on it, it has little bumps. This one is round and it has this line coming off the top and it has stripes on it too with bumps. And this one, it's kind of like an oval, and this neck of the gourd is smaller, and then the stem is curved, and you can look at the curve really closely and see how it has lines on it. And then they can draw those in their journals. And again, you could also do it with apples, whatever still life you have. Like I literally, because you know I did the fine motor, or I did the pumpkin science Facebook Live the other week. I literally grabbed this from the Science Center because there's the label, and I just grabbed it for fine motor journals. Okay, so those are some fall things. Oh, I have one more fall thing. Hold on. I know we all have tons and tons of trays because we love trays because they make everything more fun and more engaging. So use whatever tray you have to do some fine motor journal things. Now, maybe your students love letter hunts. So grab your letters. I have letter beads right here. Put the letters in whatever fall tray you have. These are leaves, a leaf tray from the dollar store. Grab that, put the fall colored letter beads or magnet letters, whatever letter manipulative you have, and students can grab one, and then they can write it in their journal and put it back. And they can grab a letter, write it, and put it back. So it makes it a little bit more fun and more engaging to do a letter hunt just by adding whatever fall tray that you have. Or you can do it with manipulatives too. So maybe you don't have any fun trays, that's okay. Grab whatever fun, like maybe you have all these fake leaves, grab those and put your letters in there. And then they can grab a letter and they can make it and put it back. Grab a letter, make it, and they can put it back. Again, it's not a lot of prep, but it's so much more fun and more engaging to be like, oh, we're gonna go on a letter hunt. Look, maybe you went on a real leaf hunt outside, put those leaves in there, hide your letters in there, and they can find them. You can even put tweezers out if you wanna sneak in some more fine motor. And again, this is just using the stuff you already have in your classroom, just a way to make writing letters and letter hunts more fun, because we can only do the letter fishing so many times before it's like, oh my gosh, that's so boring, right? So make it fun and spice it up by the things you already have in your classroom. Okay, so let's move on to Halloween themed. So you can see for this one, and again, all of these that are in this journal are in your Fine Motor Journal book. Now, also, I forgot to tell you, in here, like I'll show you for apples, for example. So let's say we're making the apples bumping across the page. I also give recommendations and ideas on what letters you can work on at the top. So I forgot to tell you that part. So for Halloween, witches or people always have bowls of potions or spooky things. So have them draw a bowl, and then they can draw all of the witch's potion inside. And they're just making circles. They can even put little spiders. They can make them into eyeballs. And then you can practice the letter O. Whoop, uh-oh, stuff falling out. Okay, let's put that back in. You can also, a ghost is a really fun one. So how I have them practice the ghost, and again, I just put one sticker at the top. They make the bump, and then they make squiggles to connect it and make the face. So we would do the bump. Everybody would make bumps first. So we would go bump, bump, bump. I would do it. They would do it. And they can go back and say, oh, ghosts, they have that spooky part at the bottom. So I'm going to go swiggle, wiggle, wiggle across. I'm going to touch the line, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle across. Wiggle, wiggle across. And then I do it. They do it. And then you can say, oh, our ghosts need faces. Let's make faces for our ghosts. And then you make a face, and then they do it. And again, when I model it, I maybe only model 3 or 4 or 5, and then they do it. I model, and they obviously do all of them. And then when you see most of the kids are done, then you model the next part, and then they do it. And again, I did the letter N to connect it because the N is a bump just like the ghost. So we're gonna start lying down, and then I'm gonna make my ghost bump. Sometimes you just gotta practice part of the motion because students already have that lying down. That's probably a motor path that they already have, but we're working on that bump. You could also do jack-o'-lanterns, and you could talk about all the different feelings you have. So again, we're sneaking in some social emotional. You can make all of your pumpkins. Do the circle, they make the circle. I make the stem, they make the stem. You can bring out feeling cards or like whatever feeling cards you have. And then say, you know what? We all have different feelings. I want you to make a whole bunch of different feeling faces on your pumpkins. And that's the whole Fine Motor Journal. Again, we're sneaking in as much learning as we can and integrating all the things. Again, sneaking in that social emotional into Fine Motor Journals in a really fun way. Candy corns. We love candy corns. I love candy corns. They're so yummy. And I know some people don't like them, and that's okay. But it's really fun to draw them. So they make the line down, up, down, up. I do it, you do it, and say, oh, do you notice there's a pattern on all these candy corns? Okay, leave the bottom white, and then I'm gonna color in orange, and then color in red. Leave the bottom white, color in orange, color in red. I do it, they do it. And then you say, oh my gosh, what letter do these candy corns look like? Oh, V's, they look like V's. Down, up, and say, don't forget, because a lot of times our students will make V's and they kind of look like a U because they don't have that point. Say, don't forget, make sure your V is very, very pointy, down, up, really fast, like candy corn. And again, this is only has to do with the motor path. It has nothing to do with the letter sound. You can also do directed drawings in your fine motor journals. Now, if you have my directed drawing bundle or unit, there's a ton of fall directed drawings. So we have the apple, and I have the 6 steps, and then they can make it. Obviously, these I didn't make in their fine motor journal, but you can make them in your fine motor journal. And do you have to have my steps? Absolutely not. Again, you do a step, they do a step. You do a step, they do a step. Now, in their fine motor journals, I typically do it, most of it in marker, and then when we color in, we use crayons. Because if they color in with marker, you can't see what they drew. So we do the outline like the I draw, you draw, I draw, you draw. We do that part with marker, and then we color it in with crayons. And let me show you the rest that are in the fall pack. So we have the Frankenstein, so cute. We have the acorn, which we kind of had in there. You can also do the pumpkin. And then we have the turkey. And we have the spider. Oh, it's stuck. And then there's also the crayon for back to school. And the fire truck if you do community helpers in the fall, or like fire safety. So those are in there. But again, if you don't have my pack, you can do it. You do a step, they do a step. You don't have to have it. So fine motor journals, again, a great place to keep all of these things. So just think, typically you would have all of these different pieces of paper all over. And now look, it's literally in one journal. You can take this with you to parent-teacher conferences. You can take this with you to your evaluations. And now you have all of it in one place. Okay, you can also do witches' brooms. So witches' brooms are straight line. So we do straight line, straight line, straight line. I do it, they do it. And then say, do you notice at the back of their broom, there's a whole bunch of diagonal lines. So you would do up. I'm going to touch the line and go up and go out and down. All different ways with diagonal lines. They go all different ways, kind of at the back. And then I would model it again. I'm going to touch the line and go up. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down a little bit more. Okay, now you guys do it. Say, oh my gosh, does this part of the broomstick look like any letter in the alphabet? It looks like the letter K, except the broomstick's not going across, it's going down. So we're going to go down, and we're going to go, this time we're going to start out, and we're going to go down in. Kind of silly, right? So again, these are all diagonal lines we're practicing. And you can also practice the witch's broom to start out and go in, out, too, if you're practicing the letter K. So that's up to you. So, letter K. And then you could also do a witch's hat. I have some stickers. You can put a sticker on the top. You don't have to have a sticker if you don't want to. But show what a witch's hat looks like in case they don't know. And it goes up. It goes, oh my gosh. We're going to connect this to the letter A. So instead of going up, down, we're going to start at the top. I'm going to go down, touch the line, down. I'm going to go start at the top. I'm going to go down, touch the line, down. And that'll be the top. And then I do it, you do it. And then say, oh, at the bottom, we need a long line. So I'm going to go long line, across, 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 stop. Across, 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 stop, across, 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 stop. I do it, they do it, and then say, let's have some stripes in our witch's hat. And I'm gonna touch the line and go over, stop. Touch the line, over, stop. Touch the line, over, stop. What letter does it look? I do it, they do it. And then I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, what letter does it look like? Oh, it looks like the letter A. Okay, watch me make the letter A. Dropped it. my journal over here in the corner. So I'm gonna start at the top. I'm gonna go down, touch the line down, and then I'm gonna touch the line across. Because we practiced all of that in the witch's hat. So fun, right? So there's that. And then I'm gonna tell you some Thanksgiving ideas. But before I do that, I wanted to give you some ideas for nocturnal animals. So, and again, remember how I said you can use trays and make letter hunts really fun? Well, I thought of some fun letter hunt ideas you can do for nocturnal animals. So take any tray that you have and make it into a spider web. I literally just put tape on here. You can also like put string around it, up to you. And then look, I only put a couple in there because I'm just showing you guys, but I would take all of my magnet letters or letter beads. You can put them inside. You can have them use tweezers if you want to, and you don't have to have them use you don't have to use tweezers or not. Don't use tweezers, up to you. But put the tray in the middle. Have all the letters inside the web. You could even, if you wanted to, you could even have some. Well, that's a bat. You could even have some spiders in there. Because again, we probably already have these out. These are the spider rings that are from probably like the dollar store. So they can grab a spider and say, oh, nope, I need a letter. And grab a letter. And then they write their letter down and they can put it back. And then their friend finds it. And then they find it. And again, you can do this with magnet letters. You can use it with letter beads, whatever you have. And throw some fun spiders in there for extra fun. Maybe, maybe you have this spiderweb bowl. This is from the dollar store too. So grab your magnet letters, because these letter beads they fall kind of through a little bit, if you can see. So if you have the spider basket, grab your magnet letters, and then they can grab one out. You can also like tie, kind of like I did with the tape, or you can even put some tape across the top, because that's really easy to grab those out of the top. You can put a whole bunch of tape across the top, and so it's a little bit trickier to grab the letters. I'm just doing it really fast again to show you guys. Oh, got a letter stuck. So we'd have some tape across the top, and then they have to grab a letter, and then they can write it or draw it. Now, maybe you want to work on numbers. Put some magnet numbers in there, and then they can pick a number out, and then they can make that number, whatever you have. But again, we're using what we have. We have these bowls, or maybe you don't have a bowl. Grab a tray and make it into a spider web. And then we have a very fun letter hunt that's so engaging and so much fun. And then for our little letter hunt. Oh, I forgot. I know a lot of us have, hold on. A lot of us may be getting these buckets from McDonald's. You can also put your magnet letters in there, and then they can pick them out. And again, you can put tape across the top. You can leave it blank, or you can grab them some like salad tongs, and they can pick their magnet letter up that way. So buckets work really great too. And then you saw me use the cauldron, but you can also put letter beads in these, and they can pick one out, and then they can write it. Again, just put fun containers out. It's so much more engaging. Or if you have these little pumpkin eggs, and maybe you only bought like one pack, it's okay. Put a whole bunch of letters in there, and they get to dump it out. Then they write all the letters, and then they hide it back for their friend, which we're working on a whole bunch of fine motor anyways, putting all the letters back in here. So really, really fun too. I forgot to tell you that. Sorry about that. So let's keep going with nocturnal animals. So I know nocturnal animals, spiders, bats, all the things. It's very, very spooky. So, but our journals are probably white. So you can glue a piece of black paper in it. And for nocturnal animals, all the animals come out at night. So you can make stars and you can model it. Say I'm gonna make a diagonal line going across. Let's go back to the top, across, back to the top, down, back to the side, across. And theirs are gonna look more probably like Theirs will probably look a little bit more like this. But that's okay. We just want them moving their hand and wrist all those different diagonal lines, right? We just want them moving all the different ways. If it looks a little bit more of a hot mess, that's okay. Again, we're working on those motor paths. And say, oh my gosh, we made all the stars in the sky for our animals. What letter does that look like? Oh my gosh. And you can pick what letter you want to do, but you could do X, because X is hard, right? Because you have to cross that midline and say, okay, I'm going to start at the top, down, 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 stop. I'm going to go to the other corner, down, 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 stop. And then model it again. Start at the top, down, 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 across. Start at the top, down, 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 across. I do it, and then they do it, and then they can write it in. If you have any fun pencils, like I have these bat ones, because I know a lot of times we use markers, but if you have any fun pencils for pumpkins or fall, I have these skeleton pens that are really fun too. You can use all of these in your fine motor journals too during your themes. Now, if I have pencils out, I typically also have markers out too, because some kids get very frustrated with pencils because when they use the pencil, they have such a, they have weak fine motor muscles, so they can't really see their mark, and that can be frustrating for them. So I also usually have out markers, even if I have fun pens or pencils, whatever it is, just so that's an option for them, because I don't want fine motor journals to make them frustrated. I want them to be excited when they're doing fine motor journals, because we want them to be excited and happy. And when you say, oh my gosh, it's time to write letters, you want them to be excited. You don't want them to dread it and be upset or think they can't do it, or to build up that level of frustration, because once they're frustrated, it's really hard to come back from that. So we're gonna make it fun and exciting. And so just have all those options out, so that way they can pick what's appropriate for them and what won't make them frustrated. And you can see I have another piece of black paper. I just put it, we did a moon. So you can draw it, or they can draw it. And again, you can either put out yellow strips, or if you have like your pre-cut strip basket, paper strip basket, put that out and say, okay, grab the yellow ones and make your moon, and they can make their moon. And again, you can just have them have both kinds of scissors out. So even if students have a hard time cutting, they can put out both kinds. You can also do it, any of these collages, hold on, you grab the paper. You can also do it as a tearing collage. So if maybe you don't want to work on cutting, or you've done a lot of cutting, maybe you want to do a tearing collage. I always have the paper strips out if we're doing a tearing collage, because this is hard. I know it doesn't seem hard, but this is a hard skill for little learners. They have to have enough muscle strength so they can grab the paper, and they have to have their body go different ways. So if you have these already pre-torn, it will make the activity not as frustrating. Now, they're probably gonna tear bigger strips at the beginning, because when they're bigger strips, or they might tear really little ones. It's usually either or, right? But as long as they're tearing and they're getting that fine motor work in, it's okay. Let them do whatever they want and whatever makes their heart happy, because again, we are just working on these fine motor muscles to make them strong, so that way when they go to write, they have those strong fine motor muscles, and those are not stopping them from doing all of the amazing things that they're capable of. So we got a moon. Now, spiders. I love making spiders, because Q, I feel like, is it's a hard letter for students to make. So when we do the letter Q, I typically have out hold on. I typically have out a spider. I like to do spiders too during like nursery rhymes, when you're doing It's a Busy Spider. Say, oh my gosh, do you see how that spider has so many legs? We're gonna make spiders in our fine motor journals today. So I'm gonna make a circle. Around, 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 stop. Once I touch that line, I'm gonna stop my marker. Around, 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 stop. And don't forget, you saw like I had that marker in my hand. I'd say, oh, you know what? I forgot, marker cap goes down. I need to hold my journal with my other hand. That's my helping hand. So again, we wanna model all the things. And if you don't notice yourself modeling something, it's okay. call yourself out and be like, oh, I forgot my marker cap goes on the table, or the students might tell you too, and you can hold that paper with that helping hand. So around, 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 stop. Okay, I made my spider bodies. Now it's your turn. You make the spider bodies. Now, how I get this to be the letter Q is I say start in the middle and go out, 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 stop. Start in the middle and go out, 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 stop. Start in the middle, out, 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 stop. Say, oh my gosh, it has legs on that side. I need to put legs on the other side. Okay, I'm gonna go in the middle, out, 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 stop. Out, 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 stop. Start in the middle, out, 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 stop. And I really don't care how many legs they put on there. Again, we're just working on that motor path. You can have them put 4, it's up to you. It's a lot to think about to have them count and make this motor, all these like different motor paths. So I typically ignore how many legs are on there for this activity. And I say, oh my gosh, I did it. Now you guys do it. And then they do it. And then I'll say, oh my gosh, what letter does that look like? And they're going to probably be like, I have no idea because that doesn't look like a letter at all. And you're going, oh my gosh, it looks like the letter Q. Okay, let me show you how Qs are kind of like spiders. Ready? I'm going to make the body around, 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 stop. And I'm going to start in the middle and go out. So it's like a spider just with one leg. Isn't that so silly that a Q is like a spider with one leg? Making spiders was huge for my kids who did Qs like this. Right? How many kids do you have that make Qs like this where they don't start in the middle or it's only on the inside, right? It's like one or the other. It's either outside or inside. It's hard to go because they have to cross that midline. They have to cross that line. It's really, really tricky. So do spiders and it makes it really, really fun. And then once they make all their Qs, if they want to color in the bodies on their spiders, they totally can. I don't care. Yeah, so you can make spiders. Another fun way to do spiders is just to give your students black circles. So if I was doing this activity, what I would do is I would literally cut, or maybe you have the circles that already are like, you can buy dot stickers like this, or you can buy them in like the roll with one color each. Give your students some circles and they have to peel them off. And say when you peel it off, make sure you press, press, press. So that way all of it sticks. Now, if stickers are frustrating for your students, it's okay. Oh, hold on. The sticker part came out, or the backing. What you can do is, hold on. Okay, stickers are hard for adults. So what you're gonna do is oh my gosh, these stickers are being these stickers are driving me bananas. Hold on, let me show you what you can do on a bigger page. Okay, there we go. So what you can do is you can peel the back off. Okay, so do this before you cut them up. And then once you have this kind of like sticker back off, look how much easier it is for them to peel. They literally just have to manipulate the paper lots less. They don't have to peel it apart from the sticker backing. So if your kiddos are frustrated with stickers, take the backing. Okay, so they cover their journals in spiders. And again, you have a journal, so you're gonna model it first. And then you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna make little legs, little legs. And then they can make little legs. And then say, oh my gosh, don't forget. And then I do it, they do it. And then say, okay, don't forget to have your spiders. They need to come down from the web. So you can either have them, I should have started at the top, sorry. So you're gonna start at, where's my sticker? So you can say, okay, pretend like these aren't on there. I messed up. It happened. So you're gonna start at the top and go down, 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 touch. And then they can start at the top. We wanna practice starting at the top. So you can do spiders like that too. You can also make giant spider webs. So you start with the dot, and then what you do is you are going to model making a circle that goes around, stop. Now I'm gonna make my circle, and I don't want the lines to touch. I'm gonna start around, stop. Now, this is working on hand-eye coordination because it's going to be really, really hard for your students not to make the lines touch. It's really, really hard. You can also give your students one black dot too and have them start with that, and then they can go around, around, around. And then once they do that, you can have them make the lines go out, and then they do it, and then you can have them add little spiders if there's time. You can also make that into 2 activities. One day, do the spider web, and then the next day, make your spiders, okay? Again, but maybe you have kindergarten students. Maybe you could do all of this at once. If you have 3-year-olds, you probably need to break that into 2 different activities. We have the moon coming down. So we have our moon, and then you can have the zigzags coming all the way down. And then again, you can also do fine motor directed drawings in your fine motor journals. I think this owl, and there's also another nocturnal animal in the animals directed drawing pack. But again, if you don't, you do it, they do it. So say, oh my gosh, we're gonna make an owl, and have a picture of an owl there. Make the body, they make the body. Make the wings, they make the wings. Make the legs, they make the legs. And the whole time you're really talking about how you're making all these motor paths. Like when you're making the bumps for the feathers, you're gonna go bump, 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 or curve, 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 whatever private speech you use. And then again, they can color it in with the crayons, so that way they can see all of the beautiful picture they made with the markers. And I know I said I would come back. I didn't forget. I wanted to show you guys some of the Thanksgiving or turkey themed ideas. Feathers are so much fun. So have a real feather out and talk about how feathers have like this long line in the middle and the parts that go out. So you do the long line, and then they do the long line, and say, okay, I'm gonna start out and I'm gonna go in. Start out, in, out, in, out, in. And I'm gonna stop at the line. And then I'm gonna make another side, out, in, out, in. Say, oh my gosh, what letter does that look like? Oh my gosh, it looks kind of like a K. I'm gonna make it, so I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go out, in, like the feather, but this time I'm gonna kick that line back out. So I'm gonna go line down, in, out, and they can make that K. And again, they can make one big feather, they can make a whole bunch of little feathers, whatever you want. This one really fun. These are pumpkin pies. So they make their circle, and they can color it in, and then you're gonna make the bumps going around. Bump, 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 which is the crest. Bump, bump, bump. And then say, oh my gosh, what letters have that bump in them? And you can talk about the letters that have the bump in them, like the letter B, the letter P, and say, oh my gosh, we're gonna make a letter P. I'm gonna go line down, bump. Or say, you can even say, you know what, you get to pick today. Do you wanna make P's or B's, or you can make a lowercase d or a lowercase b. And you can even like put out on a sentence strip or literally a strip of paper, and say, oh my gosh. I'll pretend that's like a white piece of paper. And you say, oh my gosh, you're right. So a B that has bumps in it, a P has a bump in it, a lowercase b has a bump in it, a uppercase or a lowercase d has a bump in it, a lowercase p has a bump in it, and say, okay, today you guys get to pick the letter you want to make, and then they can make the letter. Or if you have 3-year-olds, or maybe you have younger pre-K kiddos, or have students who are really struggling with letters, do one letter altogether. That way you can practice that motor path. Again, you can differentiate it and make it work for your student and their ability. iPhone. You can also do the classic food collage that we all do, right? Like we make it on paper plates and we hang it up. Well, maybe you don't want to do that this year, and maybe you're like, I don't want to put the paper plates up, and it's just going to be something families throw away anyways. So take the food ads. Please make sure you take out all the alcohol in the food ads before you give them to the kids. And then they can cut out all the foods from the store ad. Now, typically what I do when I do the store ads, I will tear them down the middle so that way it's not this giant piece of paper they have to manage. And I will put like a trash bucket in the middle of the table so they can put all the scraps in there, but make the food collage, but just in your fine motor journals. Again, we're hopefully going to give you less stacks of papers. Your families. Hopefully the families will get together for Thanksgiving and they will do some kind of something. So have them make a family self-portrait, and they can include animals. And it doesn't have to be people who live at their house. They can say whoever they think of as their family. And they can draw all the different people. They can use both pages. They can include animals, whatever they want to do. They can include people that live at their house or that don't live at their house. Maybe they have a family member who lives in another state. They can draw them. And then they're going to be talking about their families with all their friends. And it'll be really fun. So you can do family portraits. You can also do a directed drawing of the turkey. So, okay, I'm going to draw a circle. Ready? Around, 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 stop. That's the body. You do it. They do it. Okay, a turkey needs a head. I'm going to draw the head. Around, 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 stop. I do it. They do it. Make the legs down, down, and don't forget all of their claws. And then they make their claws. And then say, oh, I'm going to make different color feathers. I do it. They do it. And then don't forget the nose and the eyes. And then they can make that, and then they can color it in. This one, since a lot of it's kind of not overlapping, we did markers. You can do crayons. But yeah, once they start drawing turkeys, they're going to be drawing all kinds of turkeys, all the places. Now, you can also do turkeys where they make different types of lines. Now, I would say I wouldn't do this with 3-year-olds. I would do this with pre-K or kinders. This is my fine motor journal basket that I have. It has all of the different types of lines out, which I forgot to tell you. I forgot this part. Make sure you can have this out when you're doing the journals. Okay, I can't find one right now. Oh no, hold on. So let's say you're doing these pumpkin pies. You can say, oh my gosh, it has this bump and it has that bump. So that way you can have those out on the table for students. But let's say you want them to make turkeys. And I keep all of this in here. That way I have it right next to me, because typically these were their journals, but clearly you guys aren't my class, so I didn't have this with me. But in the back, I keep the developmental sequence. So that way if I have somebody helping me in my room that day, or an admin, or I have a sub, something, I can give that to them so that way they know what's appropriate and they can have appropriate expectations for the kiddos they're helping. But this page. So you can put this page out. It's all the different types of lines. And there's also this one, because the bumps going across is a different motor path than bumps going down. So you can put both of these out. I would take it off the ring and say, you guys today make the head and the body together, and say, you know what? You guys get to pick what types of lines you want to make the feathers. We're gonna kind of make them going around the turkey. And then the students get to make all the different types of lines going around the turkey. And it's really, really fun. It gives them kind of some choice in all the things that they get to make. And then what you can do after they're done with this, because if you give the students a choice in what lines to make, you're gonna grab these and say, after they're done, and you're gonna look through them. Notice the lines that your students are not making. So if nobody's making like loops, that means that line is tricky, because the students got to pick which lines to make, which means those are the lines that they feel comfortable and confident making. So if you see a type of line that's not on a handful or many journals, that's a line that they need to practice and that you need to do fine motor journal activities to support. So super, super fun to do. Now, if you want to grab the fine motor journal packet, the link is where the links are. It's the fine motor journal unit. And again, it has a link, or in it, it has, I think, like over 350 different fine motor journal activities. So it has all of these pages. These are in there. It also has letters. It also has, I'll show you in the back. It has numbers in it. Whoops, they're in the middle. there's all the different lines. It has a cover for you to use, has all the teacher directions. There's all the letters and there's circles, but I also have rectangles if you don't want to cut all those circles out, because I understand. And then again, it has fine motor journals by type of thing. Like here's a whole bunch of ideas if you want to use stickers. And then it also again has them by theme. Like here's a whole bunch of theme ideas. There's 6 for each theme, so that's like 6 ideas for the dinosaurs. And I just printed them front to back, or like double-sided, so that way it's not super thick. So that way I have this, and you can keep it as like a little teacher manual or support. Yeah, and that you can use it in your classroom, and then you can grab this when you're lesson planning, and help you plan the fine motor journal activities. There's also, it goes by letter too, so if you notice all your students are having a really hard time with lowercase e, open this up and say, see what activity you can use to support them making that letter. It has it both ways. So yeah, so I hope you loved all of these fall fine motor themed activities for you guys. I hope you loved all of them and loved all my ideas, because hopefully I can make your life easier in the classroom, because you guys are amazing and you work so hard. So hopefully I can make your life a little bit easier. And I will link to all the things on my Amazon storefront. I have a whole list of all of my fine motor journal supplies that I use in my classroom, like all the letter beads and things. Those are all linked. So if you click the link to my Amazon storefront, you can find all of my like materials, like the tape and all the things. And like literally, I would say 99% of the things in my Amazon storefront I have purchased. There's just a couple that I haven't. And it's usually because somebody else I know, another teacher has purchased them, and they said this is the one I have. Because usually maybe the one that I purchased isn't available anymore. So I asked, hey, which ones did you buy? Because I want to give you guys links to the good things. So yeah. So I hope you guys loved all of these fun fall fine motor journal activities. Oh, also in the links, there's also a link to how to get started using fine motor journals. And it's also a link on like fine motor journals 101, like all the basics, tells you all about it, all the things. So if you want like more background information about them too. So I hope you guys had an amazing time watching this. Every season, I'm going to do a fine motor journal video. So I'll do one in the winter for winter ideas for fine motor journals. I'll do one in the spring. I'll do another one towards the end of the year on summer. So you can like end of the year with those, or if you teach during the summer, or maybe do summer camps or summer school, you have some summer themed fine motor journal activities for you guys too. All right, well, you guys have an amazing night or day, depending on when you're watching, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.